Welcome home and welcome to my kitchen. Today I will be showing you how to make pickled red onions. You're going to start with 4 cups of water. I already have 2 cups of water in the pot. Commonly when making pickled red onions you do a 2-to-1 ratio, but I prefer to do just under a 2-to-1 ratio. So I will use 4 cups of water to a cup and 3/4 of vinegar. I'm going to use a cup of white distilled vinegar here. And then I will also add 3/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar. You don't need to use apple cider vinegar. I just like the little bit extra oomph that it's going to give to the pickled red onions. I've also used red wine vinegar in the past. That was very good. You can really just use whatever vinegar you have on hand. It's going to be perfectly delicious with just regular vinegar or whatever you have. Next, I'm going to take a couple bay leaves. You can either put this in before you boil it or after you boil it. It doesn't really make a difference. So I'm just going to put 2 to 3 little bay leaves in there. Next, the most important part, we're going to need a tablespoon of sugar and then a tablespoon of salt. This is going to form the brine, which is going to be what pickles the onions and is going to keep them preserved because they will be in the fridge for a couple weeks, and the last thing you want is for your onions to go bad. Now this isn't necessary, I just really like it. I'm going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder. It's just going to add a little bit more depth of flavor and it tastes good. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to add a small handful of black peppercorns. I was running a little bit low here as I used the rest of what we had on hand. Now that we have our mixture made, I'm going to take it to the stove and bring it up to a boil. Today I'm going to use 2 onions. I'm trying to make a larger batch. You're just going to start off by cutting each of the ends, and then you're going to cut it down the middle and remove the outermost layers. I'm also going to remove the innermost layers to ensure that the final product will be a little bit more uniform. Now that that's done, I'm going to slice the onion. You don't want to slice it widthwise. You're going to want to slice it lengthwise. It's going to feel a little bit weird, but that's going to help the onion to stay together a little bit better when you pickle it, especially because you're going to be cutting them into pretty thin slices. As you can see here, I'm cutting them to about maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less than that. I'm just going through and removing those little core pieces that I talked about. I had tried to remove it before I cut it, but it was just being a pain. Now that I actually have those cores removed, I'm just going to go through and slice the rest of the onions. This whole process is not a super time-consuming process. The entire thing should take about 10 to 15 minutes. It's really how quickly can you pour a bunch of ingredients and cut a couple onions up. It's extremely easy, but they're so worth the time. It's also a very good budget-friendly thing to make because all of these items are going to be pantry staples. If you were to go to the store and buy pickled red onions, it's going to cost you anywhere between $5 and $9 for a 16-ounce jar of pickled red onions. This is going to make 48 ounces. If you were to go to the grocery store and buy all the ingredients, it would probably be anywhere between $20 and $35. Even at that price, you're going to come out even, and these are going to taste better. Sorry for rambling. Now I'm just going to go through and separate all the onions just to make sure that that liquid can just get in all the crevices and they're not all clumped together. Some of those end pieces are just going to be a little bit too big, so I'm just going to cut them down a little bit more. This is going to be the most time-consuming part, so I'm just going to speed through it. Perfect timing as I got all the onions cut up. The vinegar mixture was ready to go, so I'm just going to pour it over top. Sorry, it kind of steamed up my camera a little bit, but you can assume what's happening. The vinegar is just going over the onions. It's nothing crazy. As the steam dissipates, you can kind of see what it looks like, and you're going to want to let it sit out at room temperature until it cools down. And once it cools down, you can just throw it in the fridge and it's going to be good for a few weeks. I'm just going to move around the bay leaves and I'm going to throw a paper towel on top. Instead of putting it in a mason jar, it's just going to create that top And it's just gonna make sure that everything stays submerged in the liquid. This is what they look like after cooling and sitting in the fridge overnight. As you can see, they got a lot more pink. They're just gonna continue to get more pink and more tender and more delicious the longer you let them sit in the fridge. Thank you again for watching my video, and I hope if you make them, you enjoy them. Thank you, and have a great day.